explorers in jungles. They're just doing their thing, checking trails, when all of a sudden, they hear this tiny little sound. Like a squeak, you know? Barely even there. They push through some bushes, and boom, there he is. This little tiger cub, no bigger than a house cat, just sitting there in the dirt. Alone. No mom, no nothing. He's got these big, wobbly eyes, and he's so weak he can hardly move. Just lets out this pitiful little whimper. They look around, and it's pretty clear something bad happened. Maybe poachers snagged his mom, or maybe she didn't make it through some rough jungle drama. Either way, this little guy's got no one. One of the rangers, this big softy named Jake, kneels down and goes, "Well, we can't just leave him here, right?" Everyone nods, because, yeah, no way they're abandoning this dude. They scoop him up, he's light as a feather, and decide to take him back to camp. On the way, somebody says, "What do we call him?" And this other guy, Sarah, she's like, "Look at him trying to growl. Let's call him Tor, like a little warrior." And it sticks, 'cause even half-starved, he's got this tiny roar that's honestly kinda cute. Back at camp, it's like Tor's the new MVP. They set up a little spot for him near the fire, give him some milk from a bottle. They're winging it, okay? And he just laps it up. You can tell he's been through it, but he's got this spark. Next day, he's already stumbling around, batting at a piece of rope like it's the best toy ever. One time, he sniffs some dust near the tent, and achoo! He sneezes so hard he flops over. The whole crew cracks up. Jake's like, "Man, this little guy's gonna be trouble." And he's not wrong. Tor starts following them everywhere, tripping over his own paws, trying to pounce on their boots. He's a mess, but he's their mess. Days turn into weeks, and Tor's getting stronger. His stripes are popping, his fur's fluffing up, and he's not so wobbly anymore. They feed him scraps, play with him, even let him nap in their laps when he's tuckered out. Sarah starts calling him the camp mascot, and it's true. He's got everyone wrapped around his little paw. But deep down, they know this can't last forever. He's a tiger, not a pet. Still, for now, they're just soaking it up, watching him wrestle a stick or growl at a cricket like he's king of the jungle already. And maybe, just maybe, he kinda is. Months fly by at the camp, and Tor's not that little squeaky cub anymore. Nah, he's turning into something else, something big. That fluffy ball of fur. It's gone. Now he's got these sharp claws that click on the ground and paws that look like they could smack a tree down. He used to fit in this old wooden crate by the fire, curled up like a donut. But one morning, Jake walks out and finds him halfway stuck. Head in, but out, growling like it's the crate's fault. Sarah laughs so hard she drops her coffee, going, "Guess he's not our baby anymore." And it's true, he's growing fast, too fast. Tor's got energy now, too. He's not just stumbling after boots, he's chasing stuff. One day, he spots the camp chickens clucking around, and it's game on. He bolts after them, tail flicking, kicking up dirt like a tornado. Feathers everywhere, people yelling, "Toy or no." He doesn't catch one, thank God, but he's grinning, or at least it looks like it. Jake shakes his head and mutters, "This guy's a menace." But they all love it, even if they're running out of ways to keep him busy. He's wrestling ropes, swatting at pots, even chewing on a spare tire once till Sarah pulls it away, going, "Dude, that's not food." But here's the thing. They start noticing how strong he's getting. One night, he play fights with Jake, and instead of a little nudge, Tor knocks him flat on his back. Jake's laughing, but you can see it in his eyes. This isn't a game anymore. They sit around the fire that night, real quiet. Sarah finally says what they're all thinking. He's a tiger. He's not meant to stay here. Heads nod, but nobody's happy about it. They raised him, fed him, watched him sneeze and stumble. Letting go? That's tough. Still, they know the jungle's his real home, not some camp with a leaky tent. The day comes, and it's rough. They pick a spot a mile out, deep in the trees, near a stream. Tor's pacing, sniffing the air, like he knows something's up. Jake kneels down, rubs his ears, and says, "You're gonna be okay, big guy." Sarah's got tears in her eyes, but tries to play it cool, tossing him a stick one last time. Tor grabs it, then stops. He turns back, those big amber eyes locking on them. It's like he's asking, "You sure about this?" Nobody answers. They can't. Jake just pats his side and steps back. Tor takes a few steps toward the trees, looks over his shoulder once more, then slips into the green. Gone. Back at camp, it's too quiet. No paws thumping, no growls at crickets. They pack up and head home the next day, but it's not the same. Sarah keeps saying, he'll be fine out there. He's tough. Jake nods, but you can tell, he's wondering if they did the right thing. They all are. Thing is, they don't know it yet, but Tor's story with them? It's nowhere near over. Years pass, and that old crew, Jake, Sarah, and the rest, decide it's time to head back to the jungle. They're researchers, right? So they've got this new gig studying wildlife patterns or something fancy like that. The truck bumps along those familiar muddy trails, and they're swapping stories about the old days. Sarah's like, remember when Tor trashed the chicken coop? Jake chuckles. Yeah, little terror. It's all laughs, but you can tell they miss him. They don't say it out loud, though, too sappy. They set up camp near the same spot they let him go, just a mile from that stream. Day one's normal, checking traps, taking notes, sweating through their shirts. Then, on day two, they're hiking this overgrown path when it happens. A low growl rumbles through the trees. Not loud, but deep, like it's vibrating the ground. Everyone freezes. Jake whispers, "That's no house cat." Sarah's got her hand on her radio, ready to call it in. Out of the bushes steps this massive tiger. Stripes glowing in the sunlight, muscles rippling under his fur. He's huge, way bigger than they imagined. For a second, they're freaked, until he tilts his head. Those amber eyes? They know those eyes. Sarah gasps, no way. Tor. The tiger doesn't bolt or snarl. Instead, he pads over, slow and steady, like he's sizing them up. Then, bam, he rubs his giant head against Jake's leg, nearly knocking him over. Jake's laughing, half shocked, going, "Buddy, is that really you?" Tor's purring now, this loud rumble that shakes the air. Sarah drops to her knees, running her hands through his fur, and she's crying but grinning like an idiot. He remembers us. It's surreal. This isn't some tame pet anymore. He's a full-on jungle beast. But there he is, nuzzling them like they're still back at camp. They sit down right there on the trail, letting him flop between them. He's swatting at their boots with paws the size of dinner plates, just like old times. Jake pulls out a granola bar, not for Tor, just to munch, and says, "Man, you've been eating good out here, huh?" Tor yawns, showing teeth that could snap a log, and they all bust out laughing. It's like no time's passed at all. They spend the whole day with him. He follows them back to camp, lounging by the fire while they work. Sarah's snapping pics, going, "Nobody's gonna believe this." Tor just stretches out, king of the place, watching them like he's making sure they're okay. By nightfall, they're sitting around, swapping more stories. How he used to sneeze at dust, how he'd trip over ropes. Jake looks at him and says, "You're a legend, man." Tor blinks, slow and calm, like he gets it. They don't know it yet, but this reunion's about to get a whole lot wilder. Things are going great with Tor back in the picture. The crew's buzzing. Jake's grinning like a kid, Sarah's still snapping pics, and even the quiet guy, Mike, is tossing sticks for Tor to chase. It's like a family reunion, jungle style. But they've got work to do, so the next morning, they decide to hike down to this river they've been meaning to check out. It's close, maybe half a mile from camp, and they're packing gear to test the water or whatever science stuff they're into. Tor tags along, trotting beside them, his tail flicking like he's on patrol. They get to the riverbank, and it's peaceful at first. The water's lazy, birds are chirping, sun's filtering through the trees. Jake's dipping a violin when Sarah goes, "Hey, this spot's perfect." She's barely finished talking when the water explodes. No warning, just bam, crocodiles everywhere. 5, maybe 6 of them, lunging out like they've been waiting all day for a snack. Their jaws snap, tails thrashing, and they're charging straight for the crew. Jake yells, "Run!" But there's nowhere to go. These things are fast, and the team's boxed in by rocks and trees. Panic hits hard. Sarah trips over a root, Mike's fumbling with his bag, and Jake's swinging a stick like that's going to do anything. They're toast, except Tor's not having it. He steps up, and I mean steps up. His roar rips through the air, so loud it's like the jungle itself flinches. Those crocs freeze for a split second, and that's all he needs. He launches, full-on tiger mode. His paws slam into the first one, sending it spinning back into the water. Teeth flash, claws rake. He's a blur of orange and black, taking them on like it's personal. The crew's just standing there, jaws dropped. Tor's dodging snaps, swatting snouts, roaring every time a croc gets too close. One tries to grab his leg, but he spins and smacks it so hard it flops over like a rag doll. It's chaos, water splashing, growls mixing with hisses, but Tor's winning. After what feels like forever, but's probably just minutes, the crocs give up. They slink back into the river, tails dragging, and Tor stands there, chest heaving, staring them down like, yeah, don't come back. Jake finally snaps out of it and yells, holy crap, Tor, you're insane. Sarah's laughing, half hysterical, scrambling to her feet. Mike just mutters, that happened. Tor turns to them, still panting, and plops down like it's no big deal. Blood's dripping from a scratch on his shoulder, but he licks it once and ignores it. The crew rushes over, hands on his fur, making sure he's okay. Sarah's like, you saved us, you big goof. And he just blinks, cool as ever, like he's saying, what did you expect? The dust settles. Or, well, the mud, since they're still by that wrecked riverbank. The crew's catching their breath, staring at Tor like he's some superhero who just dropped out of the sky. Those crocodiles are long gone, tails between their legs, and Tor's sitting there, licking a paw like he didn't just go full action movie mode. Jake's the first to move, kneeling next to him, going, buddy, you okay? He's got this little scratch on his shoulder from the fight. Nothing deep, just a red line through his fur. Sarah's right behind, running her hands over him, checking every stripe. He's fine, she says, half laughing, half relieved. Tough as nails. They all pile on then, hugging him, or trying to, 'cause he's huge now. Tor just leans into it, purring that low rumble that shakes your bones. Mike, who barely talks, mutters, thanks, man. We'd be lunch without you. And it's true, they know it. Tor didn't just scare off some crocs. He put himself between them and those jaws like it was his job. Jake wipes his face, sweat or tears, who knows, and says, you're unreal. You know that? Tor blinks those big amber eyes, calm as ever, like it's all in a day's work. They sit there for a bit, just soaking it in. Sarah's like, look at him. He's not our little cub anymore. And Jake nods. Nah, he's the king out here now. It hits them hard. Tor's not just some tiger they raised. He's strong, brave, and loyal as hell. The jungle's his kingdom, and he's ruling it. They dig out some water and a snack. Not for him. He's fine, but for themselves, 'cause their hands are still shaking. Tor sprawls out, watching them, his tail flicking lazy circles in the dirt. It's peaceful again, like the fight never happened. But they know it's time. This isn't their world, it's his. They've got one last goodbye to say. Jake kneels again, rubs his ears like back in the camp days, and says, you take care of yourself, all right? You're the boss now. Sarah's voice cracks a little as she adds, we're so proud of you, big guy. They all give him one last pat, his fur's warm, rough from the wild, and step back. Tor stands up, stretches, and looks at them. Those eyes lock on, steady and deep, like he's memorizing them too. Then he turns, slow and sure, and pads toward the trees. They watch him go, silent. He stops once, glancing back over his shoulder. King of the jungle, no doubt about it. Then he's gone, melting into the green, leaving nothing but the sound of leaves rustling. Back at camp, they pack up quiet. Sarah finally says, he's a legend, isn't he? Jake nods, yeah. The tiger who never forgot us, and saved our butts. They head out, but they know it's not really over. Tor's out there, ruling the wild, carrying a piece of them with him. And that's how a king rolls, strong, loyal, and unforgettable.